An addiction to porn can also cause changes within your brain, just like a drug addiction. And as you see in this picture here, it's like, here's your brain on drugs. But it's like, here's your brain on porn. And this is a brain that is not addicted to porn. And see, what happens is our brain, it already releases a chemical called dopamine, right? What's the root word of dopamine? The root word of dopamine is dope, D-O-P-E, dope. You know how people like, man, he's smoking that dope. She on that dope, you know? So that's the same thing that happens to our brain when there's an addiction to pornography. And what's happening is when a person is smoking dope or doing drugs or alcohol, drinking a lot of alcohol. And the thing about alcohol is this, especially when you're drinking it in excess, what happens is that sugar inside of the alcohol, I think it's not just the sugar, but I think alcohol is sugar. But anyway, what happens is it begins to eat away at your brain when you're using it for long periods at a time. But anyway, let's go back to pornography and dopamine. So our brain already releases a chemical called dopamine. And what happens is with addiction, when we take that puff or whatever it is, or when we're watching pornography, our brain is releasing those chemicals like quickly, right? There's like an overwhelming sense of release of dopamine, and we're feeling really, 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 really good. So that's why there's an addiction, because we're so used to that. And the moment that goes away, the moment that we're in recovery, the moment that we say, you know what, I'm going to stop smoking this, I'm going to stop sniffing this, I'm going to stop putting this up in my arm, I'm going to stop watching pornography, our body goes through the withdrawal process. And what I learned last night in a Zoom meeting with a wonderful young man by the name of Brinva, I think it's Brinva, he was talking about how he went through a pornography addiction withdrawal. He said initially he didn't know what was going on with his body. He went to the doctor. He said there were other people, like another person that experienced the same thing. And I didn't know that you can actually go through a withdrawal from a pornography addiction. This is when you're watching, like, you can't sleep, you can't think, you can't eat, and that's all you're doing. You're watching the pornography. Now, some of us who have dibbled and dabbled in it here and there, we may not have that withdrawal. However, our body is desiring a release by watching it. However, when you begin to practice self-control, you begin to develop other healthy habits, sometimes unhealthy habits, to try to avoid it. But the best way to help to beat this type of addiction is first confessing it, first saying, you know what, I have a problem. That's the same thing with alcohol and drugs or anger. You know what I'm saying? I have a problem. I need help. And the more and more you keep confessing those things, the stronger you will become. When you say, I have a problem, I need help, please help me. Because anything that takes that much control over your body is not good. And again, once you decide that you want to turn away from it, your body start having withdrawals. You start scratching, and there's an itch that you just can't quite itch it real good, because it's like that's one of the symptoms of withdrawal, you know. And you may go through this for maybe a day, 2 days, maybe even a couple of months, and people may be looking at you like, you tweaking, Joe. That's what they say here in Chicago. They call people Joe. I don't know why they call people Joe. They be like Joe and Joe. I'm like, his name ain't Joe, but no. No, I just want to make y'all laugh a little bit, but this is serious. This is serious. Get you some help. The strongest people ask for help. Say, hey man, I am struggling, and find you some people that you can be accountable to, so that you can heal. All right. If this helped you, let me know. If you want more information, let me know. I can provide some more resources. I can actually, I can look up that person, Brinva. I think he might just be on TikTok and Instagram. But he gave some really great information last night. And not only that, for those of us who are of the faith, listen, when we indulge into pornography, we're creating spiritual covenants. So here it is. You can say, oh no, I'm good, I ain't never have sex. But you watching porn, you done already connected to these, you've already connected in the spiritual realm to your spiritual spouses. Whether that's a man or that's a woman. Because when you watching porn, you're not just looking at the woman. I mean, you're not, okay. You're not just looking at the man. You're looking at the woman too, and you could be like, well, you know, the woman don't turn me on, but then all of a sudden, now you're struggling with same-sex attraction based on a pornography that you had watched. And then what happens with porn is that the desire to watch this, and then it like, oh, that don't tickle my fancy, that ain't getting me to what I need. So now you're getting deeper and deeper and darker into this stuff, and now boom, you masturbating to something that you didn't even think that you would ever masturbate to. And then all of a sudden, and there go the, like, oh, let me erase this, or let me go into incognito and let me delete that off my phone to delete this. When you're in a survival mode of porn addiction, just like any other addiction, you begin to hide things. But then what happens when you can't hide it anymore? Please get help. Together we can heal. Y'all be encouraged.